Liberty, one of the world's most recognizable pieces of art. Before learning about why the statue is a huge symbol for America and a way of communicating to immigrants, we must first understand what communication actually is. Communication, the means of sending and or receiving of information, can be exchanged in 5 different ways. These 5 ways are known as the 5 types of communication, and they are verbal communication, non-verbal communication, written communication, listening, and visual communication. Even though these types of communication can relay the same information, sometimes it is better to use one type of communication rather than the other. For example, if you are trying to get someone to watch an ad while they are watching television, you would want to use visual communication to catch their attention. After they are intrigued about what they saw, they will more than likely use the form of communication, listening to learn more about the product or service. There are also some situations where one type of communication could negatively affect the way someone interprets information. For example, when using written communication to send an email or a text, there isn't any way to tell if someone is being sarcastic or trying to make a joke. This could lead to unintended conflict that was caused by being unaware of how a certain type of communication could affect how information is received. Now that we understand how communication can affect the outcome of a situation, we can learn about how the Statue of Liberty is such a well-known symbol around the world. To understand anything, we must start from the beginning. As the Civil War was coming to its end in 1865, Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi was asked to make a statue by Édouard de la Boulaye, a French historian, to commemorate the 100th anniversary of America's Declaration of Independence, which was passed in 1776. This would be a huge project for both countries. The French would assemble and build the statue, while the Americans would build a base for the statue to represent the two countries' friendship. This project did not begin for another 10 years in 1875, because the funds needed for the project took a long time to be collected. In 1885, 10 years after the initial construction began, the Statue of Liberty was completed. The huge statue depicted a woman with a hand holding a torch being raised in the air, another hand holding a book with the date, July 4, 1776. The adoption date of the Declaration of Independence. The woman's face was modeled after Bartholdi's mother. The statue was made out of copper on the outside. The statue was held up with steel and Pyron iron framing, constructed by Alexander Gustave Eiffel, the designer of the Eiffel Tower, and Eugene Emmanuel Violet Le-Duc. In 1885, the statue was completed, disassembled, and shipped off to America in over 200 crates. When the boxes arrived, workers started to reassemble the pieces and attached them to the pedestal. After 4 months of reassembly, the statue was complete, reaching 304 feet in the air. Since then, the statue has been a sign of liberty, welcoming, freedom, and a sign of friendship between two countries. This statue has had such an important impact on immigration that from 1892 to 1954 over 12 million people came through Ellis Island. During the peak of its operation from 1900-1914, there were about 5,000 to 10,000 people coming through Ellis Island every day. In conclusion, the Statue of Liberty has been a beacon of freedom and friendship of two countries that work together to build a majestic piece of art for the whole world to see.
The Statue of Liberty is probably the single most universally recognized emblem of the United States anywhere in the world. It dominates New York Harbor. In the days when people used to come by ship into New York Harbor, it would be the single most prominent feature that they would notice as they entered through the Verrazzano Narrows. So it deserves and it's earned its iconic status, I think, as that kind of a symbol.
The amazing thing about the Statue of Liberty is, on the one hand, it was a spiritual and artistic statement of the values of the United States. On the other hand, it was an engineering marvel. No one had even attempted to build a statue anywhere near that size ever before. Gustave Eiffel, who would go on to build the Eiffel Tower, of course, he designed that frame, and it was very sophisticated. No one had ever built anything of that scale before, and it had to support this heavy, heavy copper that if the frame sagged or was out of position at all, those copper sheets themselves would sag and get out of position and crumble under their own weight. So it was really a revolutionary structure.
I think the Statue of Liberty grew in its importance. I'm not sure that anyone had a full understanding at the beginning of that wonderful gift from the French and the meaning that it would have to this country. But for all the immigrants who came through that passage and saw it, it did light up their eyes. They knew that they were in the promised land, and there was this welcoming beacon.
We go back to the founding of this nation and people who were escaping persecution and looking for a blank canvas, a place to realize their vision, to seek opportunity. And the Statue of Liberty is that symbol and stands for all of that and is a profound symbol for all of America.
It really does create a sense of pride when you visit Ellis Island and you visit the Statue of Liberty, because for me, it illustrates people coming from all over the world and integrated into this country that is based in the ideals of opportunity and the ideals of pursuing happiness and greatness.
The statue always makes me feel like I'm proud to be an American, because what I know about this country in my heart and my mind is that we're first and foremost an immigrant nation. And it is that immigrant nation ethos that always defines us in everything that we do. And nothing symbolizes that more than the lady with the crown and the beacon saying, "Come to these shores, give me your huddled masses, and they'll have a new life here."